Right. I'm going to talk a little bit more today about your greenhouse and how important that is. And it was really cool actually because one of the women I was speaking with was talking about her fish tanks and how I was asking her a couple questions because I'm just about ready to get my fish tank ready to go again. And it's been sitting there for a few years and it's got a lot of hard water and minerals on the glass. And so I was asking her what to use to clean it off. And she showed me her fish tank and it didn't have rocks in the bottom. And I'm like, wait, you've got dirt there. And so she actually created her own ecosystem to mimic, a pond or a lake or a river, and using the soil with sand over it and then putting live plants in it, um, it just like cleans itself. She says she does have a heater to keep the fish warm when it gets cooler, but she just adds water to it. How cool is that? And so as we were going along, we were talking about if that ecosystem gets disrupted. And she said she has to be really careful if she ever does use the siphon to kind of vacuum some of the things off of the bottom, that she doesn't disrupt it because it will actually kill the ecosystem and the fish. And so even with the plant, like if you just rip the plant out, you're going to have the dirt and soil and sand all through the water. Now you would think it could just settle back down and everything would be okay. And she says, no, it's very disruptive. And again, it can kill the fish and the plants and everything in it. And I was like, okay, wow. So when we think about our greenhouse, and a lot of times in betrayal trauma, we use the analogy, a metaphor, being hit by a truck. I also like to say when you get the rug just pulled right out from under you. And we could also use this visual of this fish tank. You've got this nice ecosystem and everything's balanced. And you've got the plants growing in that dirt, and somebody just rips it out, disrupts the whole thing. Now, if it's that severe that it's going to kill the fish, when we are hit by a truck, or when our husband loses another battle or acts out in some way, it disrupts our greenhouse, which is our ecosystem. It's where we live. Disrupts our nervous system. It can make those thoughts just spin in our head, the ruminating thoughts, the fretting, not knowing what to do. Where can we turn? How are we going to solve this? And the emotions, overwhelm, disappointment, anger, sadness, grief, depression. I mean, all the things come up. So if you can visualize this fish tank, clear water, beautiful, the fish are minding their business, and somebody rips this plant out, and all this stuff is now floating around their water, even though we can't see the magnitude of the disruptions that are happening with these betrayal trauma experiences and situations. It is a huge disruption to the environment. And that is where our work begins. And I hear so many women say, I'm so angry because he did this and it's impacted me. And now I have to do the work and I have to learn all these new things to help me because I'm a mess. And it is upsetting. It's very angering. And the grief and the different layers and levels of the grief cycle are real. And we can be sad, or we can, be in the collapse freeze and shut down and denial and bargaining all we want. And we still have to do the work if we want to be in a better place and feel better and rebuild our confidence and self-esteem and be able to, you know, navigate the charged emotions and thoughts and redirect them so we can have peace and joy in our life again. So if you felt like you've been hit by a truck or the rug ripped out from under you, or like that ecosystem in that fish tank, that plant ripped out and everything is just a huge mess, it is. I'm going to just validate for you it really is. And we don't just get over it. I meet with women who have struggled with trauma for years, and they do try to avoid it and ignore it, minimize it, or just isolate themselves. And it doesn't go away. We have to do the work, and it is hard work. And that work is well worth it. It's an investment. It's well worth it because when you can get to the point where your system is regulated and your thoughts, aren't just swirling, you can actually have your mind be calm and peaceful and not have a ton of noise in it. And you can find peace and joy and excitement and look forward to things again in your life. That's why doing the work is worth it. And we have to be really intentional and purposeful as we work through the different stages and phases of healing and recovery from trauma. And there are scars, and there's beauty that comes from those scars. And that's why they call it out of the ashes. You're rising out of the ashes. And where can you find the beauty with that? Because, yeah, all of that happened. And okay, wow, look at where I'm at now and where I'm going and who I've become and who I'm still becoming. And there's great hope in that future of becoming and creating what you want and moving towards what you want and knowing that actually you can have those things that bring you peace and joy. And if you have a spouse that's going to work on the relationship as well, you can repair a relationship and begin and recreate and find that peace and joy and love that you didn't even imagine was possible. And those are the things that I like to instill for people to look forward to. Because when you are in the thick of everything and everything is super messy, if you can think and visualize that plant being ripped out of that fish tank, and this was that black potting soil, it would be all black. You can't hardly see. If you've got black mollies in there, you won't be able to see them because they're black, right? And there's a lot of oh no's. Oh my, how can we help here? And in a fish in a fish tank, if something like that happens, if you can remove the fish and put them in another tank with a solid ecosystem, then their survival rate is going to be much greater. So we can't just leave it that way because it causes a lot of destruction. And so that's too with our greenhouse. Sometimes our greenhouse, our boundaries, the walls are such that, okay, we have to have stricter boundaries, which might mean separation or in-house separation, so that we can allow that soil and that residual calm down, and so that we don't have to feel like we have to brace or have that anxiety within our own living space. And we can allow that system to calm and relax and reground. We can get really clear on what we need and what's important and what we value. And the more clear we can get, the easier it is for us to move towards that, as well as to have people respect those boundaries that we have of things that we need and that are important for us to thrive, versus just having to survive and tolerate and accommodate. That is not being alive and thriving. And it is hard when we have those boundaries. Nobody likes that. We're created to be together and have connection and helping one another and, navigating through the hard things. And when there has to be some form of a separation or boundary, it doesn't feel good. It is very sad. And if we can remember it's for a time while we do our work to get refocused, regrounded, get clear on what we need, and hopefully our spouse is doing the same thing, and then we can come back and try again. Being able to be grounded is really, really important. And it does take time. I always like to say I love to just go snappity snap just like that, and we're better. That'd be great. It does not happen that way. And when we can do the work that we need, it will help us to be able to move forward. and rebuild, repair, recreate those things that we want. And then to be able to maintain that, make adjustments along the way, course adjustments, course corrections, and be in a way better place than we thought. So keep working on those areas that are important to you. Stay grounded and rooted in what is important to you. Take care.